Okay, that worked. So here we go, part 2. What we're working on here is a right hand strum pattern. So everything we did before was all left hand, just worried about going from chord to chord. Right hand on this song is going to be a little different. And it's just a strum pattern we're going to work on, but it's really a plucking strum pattern. It's an old country western kind of way of playing, where you play the root. Really, it's a bass line, a bass note, and then the upper fingers are playing, your first and second finger are playing the upper strings in between. Okay, so your thumb plays the root, and then the first and second finger play the higher strings. Now, to make it a little more complicated, we add the fifth as well. So we play, the bass note can be the root and then the fifth. And here's how it's going to work. On a G chord, okay, you've got the root G down here. Okay, now the way we can remember all these fifths, roots and fifths, is by taking the two rules you already know for counting spaces and lines. Okay, when you're doing lines, you're really just going every other note if you think about it. So it's every good boy does fine. E, skip the F, go to G, right? Skip the A, go to B. So E, G, B, D, F, right? Same thing when you're doing spaces. It's just a way to remember the way you go from every other note. Okay, so F, skip the G, go to A. Skip the B, go to C. That's how you get F, A, C, E. So if you put them in order and think, every good boy does fine, and then put that bass after that. So you have E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C. It goes on forever. That's how you can remember that. Okay? Every good boy does F, A, C, E is how I kind of do it. Actually, we would, to make it so you can go on and on, you'd go every good boy does F, A, C, every good boy does F, A, C, just for the sake of having it something you can remember. But eventually you just kind of memorize it. Anyway, long story, but here we go. Now you have a G chord. Alright, so you got to remember that we're going to play the root G with our thumb, and then the upper strings are going to be played with our first and second finger up top. So you go thumb, and if you just work on that by itself for a little while, and remember not to let your wrist cave, back and forth. Now we're just doing the root, but I want to add the fifth. Now remember what we just said, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, over and over again. So if we know this is G, G, B, D is the fifth. So grab the fifth on the next one. Sorry, your thumb is going to jump up to the fourth string, open D. Okay? So now you have the low G, and then it jumps up to the D. That's what I want you to work on. Take it nice and slow, and eventually you can get to this. Okay, but take your time. We don't need to get there anytime soon. Okay, what you have there, we can think of it as being 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or in some songs it could be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So really, it's not, in this song right now, we haven't assigned it anything. We're just gonna have you do the exercise. Okay, let's move on to the D chord. Just regular old D chord. So the root of it is D. So put your thumb on D, and then your first and second finger play the high strings. Okay? Now sometimes you may see me use all three fingers up top. It is cool, but I don't want to complicate things right now. So we're just going to work on first and second finger playing the high strings. So open D, and then hit the high strings. I just do it a couple times, just to get the hang of it. Now let's talk about, if we're playing the root now, what's the fifth? The root is D. So every good boy does F, A, C is what we're doing. So if we were on D right now, does F, A, C. So the A is the fifth, D, F, A. Okay. Now really it's an F sharp, but we're not worried about that. That won't get in any trouble. You won't have to worry about sharps and stuff right now for these kind of songs for the fifth. It may mess you up on the thirds, but we're not worried about the thirds. Okay. So you have a D, and we just said the fifth was A. So you're gonna grab the A with your fifth string. That's nice and out of tune, but you got a D, A, back and forth, D, A, but all the while you're hearing a D chord, even though you're switching back and forth. And what it is those low notes frame the chord. Okay, the only other chord to do right now is an A chord. Let's go to an A. There you go, A. You have an A for the root, obviously. Okay, A, C, E is the fifth. E is down low too, so you're going to start with an A chord, the fifth string A, and the high notes, and then we'll do that a couple times actually. This is a good way to work on it. Just do the root first. And then when you're ready, grab that low E. Okay? So what I want you to do with it is, you can play with the A7s and the D7s too if you want. If you want to try it with those, they end up being the exact same thing. You do the exact same thing. So here's A, and here's A7. And you're hearing me kind of, I'm being sloppy so that I make sure you hear that third string, even though you may not even hear that if you're just really gluing yourself to the first and second string. But for the exercise, it's the same thing as far as the right hand fingering. It's the same thing no matter whether it's a 7 chord or not. So you could roll through all these chords. Start on a G, then a D, then an A, and if you want to work on it with the 7s, go ahead and add the A7 and the D7 too. Okay? That should do it. Somehow we survived this. Hopefully it's all good. We're at 6 minutes. That must be the limit. All right, have a good one.